we go. Welcome, everybody, to The Lens, and we have not only a very special guest for you today, but we've also got kind of a special presentation. This is going to be our first real video podcast that we're doing, and we're doing that because we're going to be going over some website designs. My guest today is Justen, who is both a web designer and a graphic designer, and honestly, the list of work that he's done goes on and on and on for a while. Justen, I first heard about him through Sal Sincata. He's also done some work for the partner of the company that I'm in, which is Jump Visual, and he's based out of St. Louis. So I'd like to welcome to our podcast, to our first video podcast, Mr. Justen Hung. How are you, Justen?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for appearing. I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, and we've finally gotten the chance to get this up and running, and we've got some great sites for us to go over. You have been a graphic designer, web designer. What's your background? Where do you come from, and how are you here?
Yeah, so I own actually a branding and marketing company called Visual Lore. Our core specialties are branding, website, and SEO. So I've been doing this for about 20 years. Initially, I was a logo and graphic designer, mostly print, and then I started developing websites. And not shortly after that, I had the opportunity to work with like one of the first SEO specialists. He was working for big names like Larry and David, Time Warner. I mean, he had some really big clients, and we were building a healthcare site. And he was telling me, hey, the site has to be structured like this. This has to be done. It has to be built like this. So just through that, I learned I somewhat had to learn SEO, and ever since I've just been studying it and keeping up with it. So I do everything from design to search engine optimization.
And one of the things we always hear about SEO and how to improve it, and you're in the St. Louis market, I'm in the Chicago market. One of the first questions that people ask is, how realistic is it for me to chase after something like the weddings? If you search for Chicago weddings and I want my name to come up, or if I'm in St. Louis, or if I'm like in a bigger city, is it pretty attainable to do that? I know that there's so many sites out there, and there's thousands that come online every single day. So how does SEO come into factor today in some of the markets like Chicago?
For your like really big, huge, oversaturated markets, you really need a really good web developer, designer, and a search engine optimization specialist. We do all those, but it comes down to so much more than strictly having a site and having good content. When you're talking about markets like that, I mean, you have to have high inbound links. High quality inbound links is super important for something like that. And then from a technical standpoint, your site has to be almost flawless, especially in huge markets. But we do have top-ranked sites in Miami, San Diego, here in St. Louis. I have Sal on the first page, either 1 through 3 on the first page. So St. Louis is a oversaturated market too, but not quite like a New York or a Chicago or LA.
So you're saying that it's tough, very difficult, but if you're near flawless and on your game, then it is attainable, possibly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if your website is done very, very well, and you work hard to getting quality inbound links is probably the most important thing in a market like that, besides having a good site. So yeah, I mean, we have, I think, Jules Gray. She's out of Denver, which is a huge market. We got her on the first page. Between photographer, photography, and photographers as a search term. you'll see.
This is for which one?
Oh, you're in St. Louis, so sales right there. Sales number 3.
Yeah.
So he's the second photographer though, because the second one is the not. He's number 3 and 4.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, you know, I would say once you have a good, well-built website, so there's over like 200 ranking factors that Google uses in their algorithm to dictate who shows up. So I mean, there's so many variables, but it still boils down to quality content, which is good information on your site, and then combined with quality, topic-related, high-quality inbound links from other websites to yours. And the best way as a wedding photographer to get those links are to develop relationships with vendors, to get published by topic-related. So if you're a wedding photographer, getting published in wedding photography blogs, and then local links like Better Business Bureau, high-quality area links like that.
Got it. And is this something that is like, can I just search on how to do this and do this on my own, or is this usually best handled through somebody else? I mean, what's sort of the time and skill that's required to do this? Of course, getting published is something that, you know, I can pound the pavement for that, but there might be other people out there who have connections. What's the reality of me chasing after like the number 1 or 3rd or 2nd spot in Chicago for wedding?
So I can tell you, you're probably going to need a professionally designed website, because how it's designed, how it's laid out matters, how it's developed, how the actual code is written, how high content's being on the page, the structure of the site. So from a technical standpoint, the developer, and then you're also going to need a good high-value SEO person. So if you're technical, and if you're willing to do lots and lots of research and stay up to date on it, then I mean, it's possible that someone can do it, but it's almost a full-time job staying up with search engine optimization.
Right, because it's ever evolving also.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and I've heard what is the likelihood? I've heard of people like trying old methods that used to work, that you could paste like the same word over and over again, and that would help a lot. But that was in the early days of doing that.
There's cloning where you could put black text on a black background. There's keyword stuffing, which you will get smashed by Google now. If you write anything that sounds unnatural, like if you're trying to target Chicago and you write, "We are a Chicago-based wedding photography studio on the outskirts of Chicago shooting weddings." I mean, if you start writing like that, Google's going to hit you with keyword stuffing, and you'll actually get penalized. Same with if you try to hide text anywhere, or what it boils down, if you try to trick the search engines, they're constantly staying up to date on it. And I mean, those are old techniques, but even the newer ones, there's white hat techniques and there's black hat techniques. And anytime you're really trying to fool or trick the search engines, they're going to catch on, and eventually you're going to get hit. Right.
Yeah, and basically what I've done development work in the past myself, and the folks that I know who have done a lot of technical work, and the web developers and folks who work for Google, they basically say this. They're like, just if you give good quality data and information, then Google will treat you well, and that's what they're looking for. And they're not dumb. I mean, there's huge companies and huge link farms, and people are trying this. I want to say maybe thousands upon thousands of times per day. So it's very difficult to just fool Google and think that, well, I'm just going to sneak this extra keyword in here a couple of times, because they'll read through that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some sites, and we'll have Genevieve, who's actually on with us, and she's got to get going soon. So we'll take a look at her site first. And let me just refresh it so that I know that we're getting the very first image that's on there. And I think, is it refreshed on your screen and you can see the slideshow flowing?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. Now, I hear this a lot and I see this a lot. The white background, sort of very classic for photographers. Do you have any input there from color choices for home screen?
I personally like either white or black backgrounds for, high-end photography websites, just because there's no, especially if you've got really great imagery, it just sings. There's nothing competing with it. But then again, it depends on the brand, and it depends on the image you're trying to portray. If you're a baby photographer and that's strictly what you do, you may want to, I would probably use more pastels, soft colors. But, you can really never go wrong with a neutral background, whether it's white, black, gray. But I would say most importantly, it would boil down to the brand and what your brand is and the image and style that you're trying to use.
Yes, as long as you're true to your brand, then if you even if you go into a color, then if you own it, then that can work for you too. So in terms of what are your first impressions about True Lee photography?
So if you go to the home page, I would say the most important thing when it comes to photography branding, usually photographers typically think branding is their logo, and branding is not their logo. A logo is just a piece of it. I'd say the most important thing of a photographer's brand is actually their imagery. So I think it's the number one most important thing with a photography brand is your imagery, and I think having a style or an editing style, you need to have some type of look and feel that's consistent with your signature images. We're looking at some of True Lee's images right now.
Just as an example, let's see what's under the weddings. Okay, so this looks like it might be the albums or the full set of images here.
Yeah, I would actually go back to the home page.
Go back to the home page.
Image selection is so important, especially nowadays. People have the attention spans of gnats. If they run into if they're looking for a photographer, they run into a couple of images that they're not drawn to or impressed with, they're going to go somewhere else. Stop right there. Like this image, that last image should not be on the home page.
Yeah, and I don't think I can pause it. But
Okay.
But I was thinking it's an automatic slideshow, and I was thinking the same thing. Those detail shots that I see on websites, those are great to see. I like to see those, like when I was hunting for a wedding photographer, maybe about halfway to 3/4 of the way into their actual wedding portfolio. So after I go to the weddings link and end up in the gallery, then it's all right to see some of one or two of the detail shots. Maybe that homepage is exactly like what you're saying. I'm also noticing that here this kind of froze on the last image, and I don't know if the slideshow is supposed to loop, but I feel like it should be loading better.
Yeah, and see, if I'm a user right now, I'm gone. I will never come back to this site again. So usability, speed, these are super important things. If I run into any type of issue like this, I'm just leaving. It's called a bad user experience. Google uses it to rank. So that's extremely important. And like that image where it had the door and the little sign on it, probably would not have that anywhere on my site except for maybe the blog page where I'm posting on that event.
Right.
You have a couple seconds to grab someone's attention on your homepage. And I would
Right.
say you need to use your best, like that one. You need to use
Right.
your best images in something that has a look and feel. Like all these images, I would say, I mean, they're good pictures. There's no doubt about it. But there's no cohesive look or feel to these. So what happens is if I'm searching for a wedding photographer and I'm going to 20 different websites and all their photos look somewhat similar, your imagery becomes a commodity. And now when your work is a commodity, people base it on price. So they're going to price shop. If I can't tell the difference between 5 products, I'm going to pick the one that's the least expensive.
Yeah.
So if you want to, demand higher prices, so what happens is I'll use, there's a Sal Sincata. A lot of you guys know him. I do all his website and branding, but he has a signature look and feel to hit, not all his images, his signature images. So he shoots, it has like a signature look, and it has a look and feel that's really dramatic. Usually there's some type of lighting, but I can tell when I see one of his that it's his. And what happens is when your photography stands out from other people's, people will be like, that's what I want. And when people want something, they're willing to pay extra or more to get it.
Right. Oh yeah, 100%. And what goes along with that, with having it stand out, I noticed something like this, like at gmail.com, I kind of like to see the domain name or something shortened. Maybe if this is really long to have as an email address, something other than just a generic email address.
Yeah.
So that
kind
of gives that refined feel.
Yeah, it's more professional. It should be info@truelyphotography.com.
Right.
Easy,
but this is a great feel, though.
Yeah, it's easy to
the
set up.
The fact that it's there is good. Well, that's what because a lot of people just leave this off. So it's good that it's here. I do like that, except it's just as you said, either to have like some sort of info, like other than just straight Gmail. Gmail can still host it, by the way. So Gmail can host. Like I have Novo Photography, so my email address, Michael@NovoPhotography, is at Gmail. So, but you don't see it there.
Right, and then another issue with the page you're on, the contact page, name, address, phone number is extremely important with your Google rankings. It should be on actually every page. It's called Google refers to it as NAP, name, address, phone number. So for local searches, Google uses that as a ranking factor. It's just a minor one, but it's something I noticed. She should, on this contact us, she should put Truly Photography, the address, email, phone number, at minimum.
Got it. And one final quick note, this may just be me. I don't know if like both of these are necessary with like about and the Truly. So we've got one with the about. I get the fact that the name it's actually really cool if you read it, like the fact that her maiden name was True and she married Lee, and so now it's Truly. So I do like that story, but I think maybe having that all on one page would work.
Yeah, and it needs to be. For search engines, I would do a nice, little more robust about us section too, going into a little more detail, maybe a video,
Yeah, I'm with you there. Absolutely, especially that one where it just talks about it. I think that's great laid out in a story format. It would definitely bring out that page a little bit more. All right, so that is Genevieve's site. Let me refresh Laura photos here. And this is homepage for Laura photos. I'll let you take a second here. I like dark. I'm personally a fan of dark pages. My wedding page is on the darker side. On my screen, there's certainly a lot of black. I'm looking at this on. I've got one of our computers here, but it's plugged into our 27-inch monitor, and so I'm getting a lot of extra darkness here on this side. That kind of pops out at me first. What are your first thoughts here?
Just initially looking at the site, I think it looks somewhat generic. The logo mark looks like just out-of-the-box text typed out. There's no really any design elements. There's also no content at all on the home page besides the pictures. So, from an SEO standpoint, you really need your home page is your feeder page, which you want people to draw them in to go in deeper. So there are, again, NAP, your name, address, phone number should be on this home page somewhere. Typically, I like to have a short About Us section that, just says, hey, we're a Chicago area newborn and pet photography studio on the home. There was nothing really on that home page.
Right. And when I clicked on the pets, it took me sort of to, it looks like a different site than what it was before.
There's a little bit of a disconnect. I think this site's using a template of some sort, and it's really a generic one.
Yeah, I think actually the images are stunning. I think the website is taking away from the photos, because I think these photos, especially for pet photos, because like I can't do any better than a cell phone on my cat, but I mean the images are wonderful, and I think sort of being taken down a notch by the site itself.
Yeah, the size. Her pet photography in particular is really nice.
Yeah.
It just
would you keep these the same? Is this some? I think I would personally maybe consider two very different sites, because unless I'm doing a newborn with like the cat snuggled up together, it might be two very different things that the folks are looking for.
I probably would not with just two, unless you're like going after super high end stuff. I think having a site I have tons of people that have sites that are focusing on weddings, newborns, and family. I think this is fine. I just think it's the way it was laid out and designed is not very. On that home page, you should have known right away that she does newborns and pets. I didn't even know she did pets on the home page. So there should have been.
Yeah.
That slideshow probably should have been pet, or probably should have been, if her main focus is newborn, pet, newborn, and then there also should have been some body copy in that home page, and then there should have also been maybe her favorite top kid image next to the pet image, and then from there they could go directly to those portfolios. But no, she has really nice photography. The site's just not. She's just using some out-of-the-box generic template, right. and that's what it looks like. And if you're trying to build a luxury brand, it just doesn't match. Right.
Yeah, and I noticed that Pets Outdoors wasn't. That's not loading at all. So that's something to take a look at. This is sort of like what you're talking about, like a page where you can constantly keep updating it, put some information on here that won't be just keyword stuffing for SEO, and get better recognition for Google. So if like you want to seek out a pet photographer, having a page like this that's constantly changing would be a good thing. Is that right?
Oh yeah. And I would probably put this in giving back. Have a giving back page, and probably not, have a more consolidated, precise page. And then I would also have a blog page to where every time I photograph and the pet becomes adopted, I would do a post.
Okay.
Because freshness is also a factor, a ranking factor. So having a current updating blog is probably one of the most important things for search engine optimization and photographers of any type. I don't think anybody, well, that's not true, but I don't particularly like blogging, but it's a necessity. You have to do it. You have to keep your clients or potential clients informed of what you're doing. You should be blogging after every single shoot you do, pick your top images. You need to be driving traffic to them. You need to get social shares, Facebook likes. I mean, all this on a grand scheme of things is extremely important.
Yeah, 100%. And again, as you mentioned before, contact info. I don't see an email address here. Sometimes I don't like using these forms. I'd love to see an email address at least. I'm guessing she might be, if she's working out of her home, then she might not want to have her full address. Is this the route that you take? Like, let's say you just want to list your city where you are, so that folks have a general idea, rather than listing your street address.
No, Google will want to see a street address. So
okay.
Yeah, which is a slight disadvantage. It's a disadvantage to people that are, say you're in Chicago and you live on a way outer suburb. If you're trying to target Chicago, you know, that's one of the benefits of actually being in the city and actually having a physical location is going to give you,
right.
Because you have because Google will know that.
Right.
That's why name, address, phone number is important. So under this contact information above the address, I would actually put Laura Photos. So you want her name there. Full street address. So even if you have a home studio or you're out of your house, I would still put it there and maybe just put by appointment only or something, so you don't have people coming to your house.
Right.
But it is a ranking factor and an extremely important one, especially for local search, to have a full name, full address, and a phone number.
Got it. Okay, so it's one of those.
Email
just
too.
go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, that was a little bit for Laura there. Let's take a look at 3-6 photography. And that similar dark backdrop. Now here, I see contact info right away on the first page, which I don't see on a lot of sites. Or there will be a contact button, but not contact info necessarily published right there on the home page.
Yeah, there's also no street address there. This is a template of some type, and it looks like a very dated template. Again, man, your photography is not going to sing on a out of the box template like this. It just looks. I'm not even talking about its photography. I'm talking about this template looks dated. It just does not look upscale whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm sort of. There's a guest book here, which I mean I understand what the guest book is. It's like somebody can leave a nice comment, but one of the first things that I'd like to see is, if somebody's going to leave me this message like these are gorgeous photos, and then they go on and they say great things, I would love to see a page with this person's photos, or one photo with, I guess maybe like, this is like a testimonials page but built into the home page. So maybe a photo there, and you can write the little caption under or over the photo, something like that, so that I have like a face or something to put to the caption. Yeah,
I mean, I would probably not. I mean, guest books have gone out of style somewhat, and unless it's on your blog, which I mean, I haven't seen a guest book on a high-end luxury photography website since the 90s.
What about a testimonials page? Is that sort of the new guest book, but done by the either developer or photographer?
Yeah, there's been studies that show people find more when they see testimonials, even if it's not by people they know. It's more, they find it more trustworthy. So I would usually on some of my sites I'll sprinkle maybe a rotating testimonial on the home page or on a sidebar, and then link it to a page that has a bunch of testimonials with maybe a nice image, to show, hey, these are real people. And then also, more importantly, is to get positive reviews on review websites like Google+. Those are going to help tremendously with local search.
Yeah. And this, I see what you're talking about here. This kind of has a feel of one of the sites like SmugMug, or like where you can build pages. You can just have galleries, because this kind of has that similar feel. This doesn't feel like a WordPress template.
Yeah, you can't even read the logo. This is a branding nightmare. There's no.
Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, I can't tell what that is at all.
So I'm guessing this theme allocates a certain amount of space for a logo, so his logo is being crammed up. It's just, I mean, his photography is nice. It's just a bad template. It's outdated. It's just not. So even if you don't have the budget to hire someone like me who does like high-end, high-quality websites, there's solutions out there that are now super easy, like Squarespace, PhotoBiz. These are inexpensive, like monthly sites you can pay for.
Right.
You know, I don't care what they say, they're not going to rank as well as a custom designed WordPress website.
Right.
But if you don't have the budget, they're easy to learn, they're easy to set up, and they have some contemporary, more modern-looking themes. So if I was 3 sticks, I would definitely look into something besides what he's using, because it's extremely dated. Yeah.
And one thing for me as a photographer is there's quite a mixture here of, it's wedding photography, so some pets, some portraits, so kids or babies out and about. I'm not sure what that is. I might click on that. So this looks like just out and around. This kind of layout for me, and again, when I was searching for wedding photographers, this is something that I would come across. When I see this, I'm done instantly, because like a jack of all trades but a master of none. Like if somebody's seeking a wedding photographer, like they want to see a site loaded with a fair amount of wedding images. I guess this doesn't concern me very much out and about. I might be okay with like these 3 sections, but the other section, if we're doing this now, like I guess that would be the difference in feel for me. If I was doing photography as a personal hobby where I just sort of photograph everything, then I think a site like this with the number of galleries is okay. You can just take anything that you want. You might cover a friend's wedding for them just for fun, or do somebody's portrait session. You can sort of lump everything. But if you're trying to have a photographer, like I don't know what the specialty is of this photography, and usually I think we're looking for a specialist. For example, if you, Justin, called me and said, well, I do websites, but I can also code an app for you for your tablet. I do some iOS design, I do web design, I do .NET development, and if you started going on and listing all of these things like that, even though you might be able to do them, but the more you start covering, I can do this and I can change your car oil too. I don't think I would be very inclined to go with you. But somebody calls me up and says, you know what? I'm a graphic and web designer. That's what I do. I'll make you a great site. Like I'm sold on that idea alone. What's your take on the number of galleries that we're sort of seeing here?
This looks like a hodgepodge, but I think it more has to do with the design and the layout of it. If it's done right and it's designed like really well, I think I've done sites where there's 5 or 6 categories, but it's well designed and it's targeted properly. And so if I'm on the home page, I know, boom, they shoot pets, and I have one of the best pet shots I've ever seen. I'm going to click that. I think it has to do with the design and the structure and how you guide the user to where you want them to go, more so than the amount of categories. But typically,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I would say, 3 to 4. I think just as a photographer, you should be focusing on the things that you really, really love to shoot. So, I mean, when you're really focused on the things you love, usually it's only a handful as opposed to a bunch. But at the same point, if it's done right and designed well, I think it's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, typically specialists, only focus on a certain couple of things.
Right. And here I'm also seeing that when I move, like this bar goes away and now I have this. So yeah, it sort of goes all over the place.
Yeah,
so I would definitely,
user experience is poor. This site's not search engine optimized at all. I can see when you hovered over those images, the URL was like samuelbarr.com/12345. So.
Oh yeah, no, I just pasted this one in, so it's 3 sticks.
Oh, sorry, 3 stick.
Yeah, I've got the next one queued up to load here. Yeah, no, a lot of stuff I would possibly consider scrapping the entire thing there. I just saw a photo that was half, here's a photo that's like half loaded. I would pretty much hit maybe 15 seconds into the site, and some of the imagery is good as a standalone, but the way the site is done, I don't think I might even give it the chance. I might be gone from the site before that even happens. So.
Yeah, he had a couple of really nice shots mixed in with some just kind of average.
Yeah.
It comes down to image selection being very important.
Yeah, filtering it down is very important, and that's when you ask other people, like, what should I remove from the site? That might help there. For this site, for Samuel Barr, I don't know if you're getting music. Are you hearing it?
I went to the site and I did hear the music.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing the music, and I don't see a pause button. And if there's, this is maybe a personal, like, oh, is this it down here? Oh, maybe not.
No.
This is a personal pet peeve of mine, is music.
Yeah, no pause button, no mute button. I didn't see a mute button anywhere.
You have to look at it, by the way, which I didn't discover this until I did it when I worked in the corporate world, is that this is very wedding focused, and this is going to be brides looking at it, I assume, and so brides are often going to be looking at this maybe at work if they work in an office or something like that, and the last thing that I would want to start blasting through my speakers is music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If if a potential bride's at work and she's gonna take a 5-minute break and go try to find a wedding photographer, and she hits a page and all of a sudden, bam, music starts blaring out of her speaker. I mean, that's code red for you're a late worker. So maybe if it's a video or a slideshow or where they can control the sound, or give them the option to at least minimum to mute it right away, or turn it off completely throughout the site is, I would say, somewhat important. Also his logo is a branding issue.
Yeah, I can't.
You can't.
I don't know
it.
what. No, maybe that's a signature. Do you think that could be a signature? But maybe then you don't have your signature there.
No, it's a signature, but it should be at least readable. So I've actually created custom typefaces based on people's signatures to make them legible. So what happens if someone sees one of his images somewhere else, not on the site, and they want to find this photographer, they see his watermark, and they would not be able to ever find him because you can't read that logo. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's a very good point. It's one of those things that, I don't actually watermark my images personally, so that's not a thought that often goes through my head. But yeah, if I just saw this, I know that it's S and then a B and then maybe an L, is, yeah, you're 100% spot on there. I do like the full size images. It's definitely, of the sites that we've been looking at so far, like the images just, they really reach out and just impact you. Is this what a lot of photographers are doing now, is to just have mostly full screen images, very little text on the screen?
I've actually gone away from that. Actually, I still keep large images, but with this many images, I've no longer go that direction because Google load time is now a huge ranking factor. So how quick a website loads, and here I'm actually going to run a quick test. So if you search Google Pagespeed, it's a tool that based off Google's system of how quick a website loads and renders.
Okay.
I mean, there's a bunch, but I initially start with this. So actually he's not bad. He's got an 83 for his desktop speed. His mobile, he must not have a mobile friendly site, or there's an error problem with it. So it's probably not responsive. It's probably using some mobile. Again, I'm guessing this is some type of template.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering, by the way, with this template, I don't know, would this music come with it? It sounds like you would require a license for this music, so maybe it's licensed, but possibly not, because these are all like Frank Sinatra or some recognizable songs.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can get sued if you're using unlicensed music.
Yeah.
There's like, I mean, and there's no reason to do it now. Like Song Freedom, you can go and purchase licensed music for your website.
Right.
I mean, there's just no reason to put a risk in the hat and risking being sued.
Yeah.
He definitely had too many images on that homepage. I would. So if I'm photoshopping, what I call photoshopping, if I'm going there, I can almost watch and view all the images I want from his homepage. So what that's going to do is it's going to detract me from digging deeper. If I can want to look at a couple of these images, I'm going to sit here and look at these images, and then I can leave. And if I do that, and if I go back to my search, say my first initial search, I'm searching for a photographer, and I go here, I look at a couple of his images, and I bounce back to Google and then do another search for another photographer. That's called pogo sticking. It's a ranking factor, and Google will penalize you, or not. It would not penalize, but it'll put that as a rating for saying, hey, people are going to this homepage and then leaving after and not going any further. So Google is going to say, so this site is not as good. So
yeah.
Typically what I've been doing lately is I'm still having these full-size huge images, but I'm doing it. I'm only putting a handful, sometimes just the category. So if I have a wedding, a family, and a baby photographer, I'll put their top images, maybe one, usually just one now, possibly two, with a button that says click to view the rest of the portfolio, because I want to draw them into the site, click around, because user data is being used for ranking factor too. So Google's actually tracking when someone comes to your site, if they're clicking through pages or they're just leaving right away. And if people are clicking through your site and they're, then, initially if I go to a site and I like it, I'm going to go to the home page, then I'm going to click a portfolio, and then from the portfolio, on my sites I have a draw to the blog that says, hey, view more images on a blog, then I'm going to the blog. Now I'm looking at and Google knows that. So they're going to say, hey, this site's much better than that last site to where someone just went to the home page and left.
Right. Yeah, and in WordPress they give you in the dashboard, it'll show you your bounce rate, so you can address that. And by the way, I've got to shut the music off because I think I've had my think I've had my fill there, so I plugged in the next site. Yeah, that is key. A lot of those sites, a lot of those other templated sites like that are hosted, they don't show you that. You can't see what your bounce rate is, and I think that's pretty important. I do check it here and there just to make sure that everything is fine. And there's going to be some days when I don't know if it's bots that hit your site and then they leave, but
no, you can still do that with most other sites. You just have to install Google Analytics.
Okay.
And most template sites that are somewhat modern, that are staying up to date with technology, usually offer a place to plug that in. Got it. Okay. So, I mean, I would definitely, as a user, have your website installed with Google Analytics and their Webmaster tools, which is actually called Search Console now. They're just free downloads. They tell you if you have issues with your site, if you have broken links, or if it's not mobile friendly. They'll give you warnings telling you what's wrong with the site and what issues they're having. So it's a very important tool to have on your site.
And that's Google Analytics, which you can go. I do use it. Unfortunately, I've got to say that I don't log in there nearly as often as I should to look at it, but you can get it. In fact, you would do it to plug into WordPress as your UI code, right?
Yeah. So Google Webmaster Tools, which is now called Google Search Console, that will show you if you have problems with your site, any technical issues that Google's having with your site. And then Google Analytics is what tracks users. It tracks how they found you, what they searched, where they clicked through, what pages they went to, how long they were on your site, information like that.
Got it. Now let's take a look at our next site. And this is the first one that I noticed that doesn't have an automated slideshow. Do you have an opinion one way or another on slideshows? I've got the little arrows here, and I always wonder if those are something that clients will notice to click on.
Yeah, so I don't have any preference to either one. If it does, well, actually I do. If it is automatic, it needs to be able to control. So people, if they saw the image and they want to go back and look at it, they need to be able to. If you, like those couple of sites we were at earlier, I mean, if you missed it, then you got to wait for the next 9 images to go back to it, so which is a bad user experience.
Right, or refresh your page, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going to have a slideshow, definitely probably have an ability to have the user control it if they want to stop it or go back to it.
Got it.
And I'd also watch. I can tell you right now that this one is a Squarespace theme, I guess.
I haven't used Squarespace, so I'm not familiar with it, but.
So I mean, Squarespace is probably one of the nicer, aesthetically pleasing, the better looking template sites. They have a bunch of templates, but they're very well designed. They were designed by professional, like really good designers. Their only issue, they have a couple technical issues where their page speeds are bad, awful. Google ranks them, and I'll tell you right now, Eva. So if you go to Pagespeed Insights, it's Google's PageSpeed things, and Eva, HOWEDDINS.com.
What is it? Pagespeed.
Pagespeed Insights. Yeah. So just Google PageSpeed. Google PageSpeed.
Oh, PageSpeed.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we plug in this, we would just plug in the.
Yeah, just copy it and paste it into there. And Squarespace has, it's one of their, yeah. So her mobile, see the speed, it's a 26 out of 100. That's horrible. Google hates, I mean, if ever, even, you know, this is just, again, there's 200 ranking factors, but She's got 30. Yeah. So, and these are in the ways to fix it. You can't because they're technical things from a technical standpoint. She can't go in there and fix these things because it's a pre-designed, pre-existing template. As opposed to if I'm doing a custom WordPress theme, I can adjust all these things and get all green scores. But that's the compromise to her having the ability to maintain and edit anything in the site super easily.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of give and take, and then I mean, you recognize this now. Obviously, you're in the industry, but what is the, you know, I guess after a while, if we all use templates, then I saw in a couple of them the contact pages were the same. So what's the likelihood of, you know, somebody looking at a site and saying like, well, this looks exactly in layout form the exact same as somebody else's?
Yeah, so that's again, that's a branding. If I'm trying to do a high-end luxury brand, there's no way you could ever use a template, unless it's a custom one. Because then, I mean, if someone else goes and has the same exact website, you would never see Louis Vuitton have a website the same as another purse company that looks just like it or uses a template like it. I mean, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah. And by the way, I noticed here that the home page is the weddings portfolio already, so it appears.
Yeah.
When I go to the home page, it automatically. So I clicked on the home page, and as I'm going through here, now it looks like I'm in the gallery because I see weddings is highlighted. If I go into weddings, so it's like, is this common? I usually there's like sort of that drop page, but this, I guess maybe that's why it's not auto-scrolling, because you're already in the gallery just as you would be if you ended up in the engagement.
Yeah, so yeah, there's no homepage, and there's also no text. So that's the only thing search engines can read is text. And typically, you know, I could still get this website to rank well, but it'd be a lot more difficult because it'd be based on inbound links, high quality inbound links. You know, at minimum, she should have a little bit of copy in here. There's no, for local search, there's no name, address, phone number, even if it's kind of in the footer. You know, there's some technical issues.
Oh, there it is. I just didn't scroll down enough, but phone is there.
On the home page?
Oh, no, not on the home page, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, some good points there. So you sort of like, you get what you pay for there. It's like a nice site. It is easy, but the easier that it is, like if you make something easy for a non-developer to do, then that's sort of, you know, you're going to get an okay page, like looks nice and clean, might hurt you a little bit on the back end, and some of the customizing things that you are not necessarily able to do when you go with one of those. Sort of seems to be the theme of the Squarespace, at least.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, this by far is the most high-end, luxury-looking site we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You know, it just has some loading speed issues, which there's nothing she can do about because it's. I think, let me see. I'll confirm if it's Squarespace. It is. This is a Squarespace site. It is. So yeah, so she won't be able to fix those things because it's part of the Squarespace's how they build their sites. But you know, it's definitely a good-looking blog. I mean, it's definitely a good-looking site.
Which was it the last one, the Ava Ho?
Yeah.
Or this new one? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of the trade-off. And now that I've got, which I haven't used the Pagespeed insights, but now you've got me hooked on that, so I'll be looking at all of our various sites there later. And I've already taken a look at Beth's page. I kind of like this layout. You know, simple, to the point, on a white backdrop. Photos are nice. I think it think it starts off great. I would continue looking if I was here. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it's clean, simple. Again, there needs to be some content on this homepage to get it to, without a bunch of quality inbound links, get this thing to rank well. There's got to be something on this besides this copyright. I mean, there's got to be some content. There's got to be a header tag. I mean, it's missing. For SEO, it's missing all kinds of stuff. But from a visually standpoint, yeah, I mean, clean, simple. The logo looks a little generic. The branding, I would say, is a little underdeveloped, but yeah, simple and clean. And you can never go wrong with simple and clean on a site. But it's, for a SEO standpoint, it's definitely missing a lot of important pieces. Yeah,
I'm with you there. One of the things, and I haven't clicked on too many of the client images, if I'm a client, let's say I'm Lisa, I can see everybody else's images. The way I do it now for my own site is that I have a SmugMug page which just hosts galleries. So no client ever gets a link to it from my main site. They only get a link to their own private gallery after their shoot. And I usually restrict them from seeing other people's as well. So I'll usually hide them. Here I can see many things.
Though? Just click on one of those. Is she actually using this for her gallery? Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you would have to type in your password here, and then
that client gallery should not be in her main navigation. I would have it maybe in the footer next to copyright, if you're going to have it at all. So let me see.
Yeah, I like to go, when I get to a site, I tend to go from left to right is how, from most important to like the final one. I'm okay with the inquiring being here. What I realized is that I see a blog, but I don't see the image, like galleries themselves, unless I have to go through the blog.
She doesn't have a. Now this is actually a WordPress site, so it looks like she's kind of using her home page as the gallery, but she should definitely have a home button, gallery, galleries.
Yeah, I happen to know that I can click on most logos to take me to the home page. I'd like to say that most people do, but I don't know if necessarily everybody does. So
yeah, I would just,
home button is still nice.
For SEO and structure, I would still have it. I usually have both, and
yeah.
I would, definitely get rid of this client galleries in the main navigation. Put it in the footer, and or send it as a link to your clients. I would definitely break down have actual galleries for each individual section. That looks like she does families and.
Right. Because you got them on your main site, and if now they want to click and they don't know, they want to see more. Because you give them a taste on the home page, and then the next thing you want to do is get into a little bit more. Beautiful photos, though. I think the photos are great, and I agree with you. I see the logo. Really nice, clean images. Like these a lot. I'd like to see something that, I don't know if a designer necessarily did this, but
no,
I agree with you. Not the strongest.
I'm guessing it's a WordPress theme, probably a pre-existing one. So again, there's nothing luxury about this. Like I'm not talking about her imagery at all. I'm just talking about the branding, and there's no. I mean, it's clean and simple, but there's no like high-end feel for me. It kind of feels like a template.
Yeah. And here, like, there's this break in, I mean, I guess I sort of get it, but I wouldn't mind a little bit of like graphical here, because it took me a second and I realized that this is not a break, but this is actually showing a different selection. So this is bolded if you're going to show. So I'd like to see that. Yeah, I think it's pushing in the right direction. It definitely has a little bit of that homemade feel to it, which again, I think a lot of these sites so far, a lot of the sites we've been looking at, I enjoy a lot of the images. It's really the website that, for me personally, starts to take away from the images.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let's pull up the next one. That would be Schneider Family Photography. We've got just a few more sites, and we're pretty much at our hour mark, but we'll try to get in everybody who posted. So we'll keep going here for just a few minutes. We've seen this before, the large image, which you can navigate. And we can go backwards. And then we've got the thumbnails here. Now, my first take is I don't know, maybe it's just my personal preference, but this is a little bit off-centered for me with thumbnails. So I'd like to see them either centered or just gone completely with a little icon that I can click on that will bring them if need be.
Yeah, the layout seems a little weird to me. Good imagery. The branding too needs some type of branding. It just looks like they used the font that the WordPress theme they have, just typed it right out. I think they really need to work on developing a brand, and maybe, yeah, it's probably a existing WordPress theme, I'm guessing. But yeah, I would definitely want to have those thumbnails lined up or just centered at least. Yeah,
I'm with you there.
Again, no content. For those picture shoppers, there's no incentive to go deeper. If I'm just looking at pictures, I can see quite a bit on the home page. Nothing to draw me in. No content on the home page for search engine purposes.
Yeah, I think also like to sort of state like what you said about the branding. This one probably feels the least branded one for me. I don't have a logo. This does feel more like just a display portfolio. Even on the about page, it's just about. Yeah. We've got the name, and we people, I think we like brands a lot. I can't say that. I wear, I think Adidas are my current running shoes, and I'm not going to say that that I'm all about the brands, but it's a recognizable name and brand, and that's not by accident. It's something they worked very hard on. I can, if I was to leave this page, it doesn't stand out in my mind completely. Even the other one where it was like the template, which was 3 sticks photography, some great images. 3 sticks, I get it. It's like the tripod. Truly, that stands out to me. I remember her name there. Like a lot of those that have a story, they kind of pop off to me as a user. Whereas here, I'm just kind of feeling the imagery, but it is missing that brand, like you said. I mean, I get their images here. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say their images are probably a little more developed than some of the previous ones, but yeah, I definitely remember the 3 sticks logo, which is memorable, and this one I would forget, and that has to do with a branding issue, because their images are actually some of the best we've seen today, but there's absolutely no branding done whatsoever, which is going to make it less memorable, even though it was some of the better images.
Yeah. And I know that you can't navigate this, but one of the things that I like to see on sites is, and this was the issue also on the other Squarespace site of Diva's, that I can't use. Like right now, I'm hitting my right cursor key and it won't go. I have to use my mouse and I have to click here. I just like to use the keyboard. and go left and right through the images if they're displayed like this. I don't know if that's a personal preference or is that sort of something that's more standard now in the industry that I should be able to use my keyboard to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice. From a usability standpoint, it's always nice to be able to have the option, but I don't, it's not, I wouldn't leave this site for it. So,
right.
I would say it's that big of a deal, but, it is always nice from a technical standpoint for the user to be able to navigate how he likes to. But, I mean, I wouldn't leave this site because of how that it's working.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's take a look at the next one. We have Robin. Robin, I believe, is in the chat room with us, watching live. She'll judge you if you say anything to you.
Yeah. Sorry, Robin. This looks like an old, outdated theme. Zero branding. It looks like he just typed the default typeface, his name in. Yeah, I can just tell the technology used is so dated on this thing. It's using a fixed window size, which is smaller. It hasn't been that size for years and years. So I can just tell it's dated. Because even if you're there's nothing wrong with having just a typeface logo. It just needs to feel like it's higher end or customized, not just typed out with the default font that the team uses. I'm not even speaking of his images. I'm just talking about this layout, the site. That's a great.
Yeah, and it looks like, like a few years ago, I had a personal site, and I think I did. I had one, this is maybe pushing 10 years ago now, and it might have had a similar feel to this, but I was really just displaying my own images, for really just myself and maybe my friends. I think if you're looking to draw clients from this, then that might be a little bit tougher, because it is also not the easiest for me to navigate. When I was on the home page and I clicked on the image I wanted to, then it took me to the galleries, and I sort of had to think about it for, I see that it took me to the portfolios here. So I don't know. I don't know if this is for personal or if this is like you trying to book clients from this. I'm guessing from contact and client login that it is professional. So it kind of, as a personal site, I see this often, and it's like do whatever you like. If you're trying to draw in clients, that might be a different story. So, and I'm not really sure what. So if it's a client login and I'm going to contact, I guess I would have to read the about to see what it is that, what photography I would hire Robin for. So it looks like editorial and documentary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, at first there's all kinds of branding issues with this site, and then I think, he needs to categorize things different too. From the portfolio, it's categorized by Chicago Voices, like events, and then it has portraits, so it's a little bit all across the board. I'm not quite sure what he does, but he's got a couple portrait images that are really, really nice. And mixed in with some that are just kind of average. Kind of like he started building some, then he quit and added some more. There's no in this homepage image. Is that him or is that
no, I think this is Robin. I believe it's a she. But yeah, initially, because it's the only image, you might think that Robin is male because of that. But yeah, again, I'm with you that as a person, if it's a personal site, then that's fine, because sometimes when I shoot personal photos, if you look through my phone, you're going to see photos of my CAD, you're going to see photos of like a party that I was at. It's going to be random all over the place. But if we're on a website and you're trying to draw in clients, then you have to really sort of edit down what we're looking for. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, from a branding standpoint, it's off key. From technology, it just looks super dated. I mean, there's some really nice photography in here. It's all over the board. It's kind of a branding nightmare. I don't know what they do. It's just not informational. It doesn't help me at all. It really,
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. And it seems to be that recurring theme. Like I'm seeing a lot of, again, I don't want it to seem like we're coming down on people's photos or anything like that. In fact, on the contrary, a lot of great photos that are being held back by the website, because you have to think about the website. You're looking at a monitor, and your photos are now being broadcast through. They're being or framed, I guess you should say, by the site. And so if you have a site that's not doing the best job of framing your photos, it's the same thing as having a piece of art on your wall with just, a cheaper frame or poorly done frame or mat. That's the way I look at it personally.
Yeah, and I'm in his portraits gallery. So if you go to his, have you already moved on?
No, I'll go back. Let's go back to portraits.
Like that's a great. Just go through these. So you're on one. That's a great image, man. That is too. And then now this one kind of looks like it was taken with an iPhone, like image selection and it's super, super important.
You can almost see them. Look at the thumbnails; they almost pop out to you. Like there's one that I would keep. This one I might not keep. In the gallery. This one, just in the thumbnails, there's some that I want to click on just by seeing the thumbnail, and then there's others that I get exactly what you're talking about, and I can almost see it from the thumbnail before I've even clicked on the image. Yeah,
like those first couple, that last one, and the woman, very last image, those are good images. And then there's some there that look like they're just taken with an iPhone.
Right.
Like it's regular, So I would say image selection. There's just all kinds of issues with this site. Sorry, Robin.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, that's what we're here for, is to give the feedback, and yeah, absolutely. That's like before when we said the editing of the images, and if you're not sure, because a lot of times this is what I do, because I get emotionally attached to my images. We all do, and so I'm not seeing all the negatives in the images that somebody else might see. So what I'll do is I'll send a bunch of the images to some trusted friends who have no problem giving me the critique, and I say, well, which ones would you leave out? And then, it's usually pretty unanimous on what people would leave out of the images too. So if you're not sure, that's when you ask the photography community or your friends around you and see what they like. Yeah, and I'd say attention to detail, super, super important too. I can't even remember. It just popped in my head. It was even a couple images back, a couple websites back. I had a little redheaded kid, decent image, but he had a cut on the top of his head. He had like a scratch or a cut. It wasn't even cleaned out, and it was one of their featured homepage images. I mean, attention to detail, man, is super, super important. Yeah, first impressions. Yeah, unfortunately, I learned, and I got to say that the reason we're sitting here and doing this is because I was not attentive to this really in such detail until I began shopping for my own photographer. And as soon as I did, before that, everybody said it was fine, and I would look at their photos, and this is great. But as soon as you start shopping and you're spending money, you're going to become really, really critical. So yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's take a look at Nima's page. Interesting, a little bit different. And just as it says, editorial portrait photography. So one of the things, can you address the new photography? I think that's about a year or so old, maybe a little bit more. Yeah. So
they're the new URL names just because .coms were running out, so they added net, and so it's just an extension of that. So now you can get a .photography. There's really no advantage to using it or not. I actually probably prefer .com just because they're what people are used to.
And it's shorter also.
Yeah, but I mean it used to be to where the domain name had quite a bit of weight. So if you had, like NewYorkPhotography.com, you would actually get a huge bump in the search advantage for someone that typed in New York wedding photography. But then it started getting so abused that Google pulled back, and now it's minimal advantage to having your keywords in your domain name. So I personally prefer .coms. It's fine. It's not. She's not getting any big bump for having editorial portrait photography. That's her domain name.
Got it. Okay.
Or his or hers.
Yeah, it's Nima's a he. And that's one of the things that I would see is it would be like then people when ChicagoWeddingPhotographers.com was taken, then and you would buy Chicago-wedding-photography.com and then redirect that to your site. I would see people kind of doing that. So you're saying that it's not necessarily worth it to do your keywords as part of the link.
You
can, great, but you don't have to.
Yeah, it's Google's putting more weight on the brand name. So, I would have never selected this domain name. I just would have made it her name. I'm sorry, his.
That's all right.
I'm a little confused with this logo too.
Yeah, let me close out of here.
Is that I don't understand maybe it's, I don't know. This marking is distracting to me. I don't know if it looks like a backward F with a black dot up there. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now this is also, I know this, but this is like, there should be a little bit more of a split in his name.
Yeah, and I would also, if you have I always recommend that, photographers try, if it's you and your brand, you're building the brand and you're the brand, I always recommend using their name unless it's like Orjic Skinsky or, something that if I tell somebody, I don't have to spell it out every single time I tell them. That's maybe one of the reasons why they selected editorial portrait photography, but I'm guessing they did it for SEO, but which is not doing much.
Right.
I would try to come up with a brand name that's maybe it's Nima, N-I-M-A, or Nima T, something to where I say Nima T at photography.com. They're not going to say, can you spell that?
Yeah.
That's
actually, my last name is Novoseletsky, and exactly what you're saying. I did, rather than have Michael Novoseletsky photography.com, I just had Michael Novo. And that's the name that I go by professionally, because if I just say my name, I'm going to have to say it and then spell it and then write it down and then email it to you.
So that's probably the only time I would say don't use it if it's difficult to spell or difficult to pronounce. That's just from a branding standpoint. I make that's my first thing. Second thing is this logo is just, I don't know what's going on with that mark. And then this is a pretty popular type of theme nowadays, to where it's got this masonry style gallery. Again, your photo shoppers are just going to come here, look at all these images on the homepage, and they're going to leave. Nothing to draw them in any further if they're just window shopping.
He's done a lot of work. Like, he shoots, it looks like, just from seeing this, so he shoots for Cranes, senior market advisor. It looks like some local musicians and celebrities that he's got covered. So what do you do? Because you've got a lot of this great stuff and being published and being in all these places, so you kind of want to present that to folks How do you go about it if you want to show people this?
So I would have selected, or maybe make this one big slideshow image, have one big picture to where, and then I hit them with, then it has maybe some ghost of text that says, Chicago's premier editorial, something, and then have them click down to the next slideshow, which is one image, another powerful image. Maybe you hit them this right off the bat, and then you draw them in to the gallery, to like the editorial gallery or the modeling gallery, guiding them in. But yeah, I mean, this incredible, great, really good photographer.
Oh yeah, the work is stunning. I can understand wanting to show most of it. Every single one of these images. I also think that of the ones that I'm seeing, I'm seeing very, and this is one of the things that you mentioned a couple times. Like I can feel the branding in his images, if that's the right way to put it. I can feel his look.
Yeah, his look is posed, lighted, professionally lighted. That's his real editorial look. But yeah, he's got a consistent look to his images.
Yeah, and that's huge. Like at least for me, that's huge when I look at people's portfolios. Is to you go from one image that looks award-winning to another one that's like, it's okay, and then it's tough after that, man. But each one of these is solid. Really, really, really good work. Like it a lot.
Yeah.
Let's pull up our last site here. That is BordeauxStudio.com. So our last one. And this, by the way, I'm not clicking. As I move my mouse left and right, it automatically starts moving. So this arrow really actually isn't doing anything. But I can use my keyboard to go left and right.
I'm still seeing the old screen. Oh wait, you have been disconnected. Try to reconnect. Okay, hold on. But you're on Bordeaux.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can, if you want to go to that one on your own screen, we're still recording. So.
Yeah. So I'm there. These arrows don't work on my browser, so maybe they go back and forth, but I can't click. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I have the same exact thing.
Yeah, so from a usability standpoint, this is not friendly. This looks like it's using some type of Zenfolio template. This logo seems really heavy and weighted to me. I don't know why they put the black background and the gold.
Now I know their studio actually, Jerry and Annette, and they are based out of Evanston, and I kind of like it on their door when I walk in. It's on the glass door, and then they just got it like frosted with the logo, I think. I don't remember, but it stands out really powerfully. So I agree with you there. You might not necessarily need the framing, just the word Bordeaux to me is a very strong word because, it ties into me. I mean, personally, I'm a wine fan, so I don't need much. I just think that Bordeaux Studio is just a very powerful word, and I might go with like something a little bit more minimalist.
Yeah, this black background, this gold background, cheapen it to me. Even if you want to use gold in the logo, I would maybe make the Fleur de Lis icon. I would maybe make that gold, and just the text either black or that could be gold too. I think from a branding standpoint, it'd clean it. It looks heavy and it cheapens it. I think this border cheapens it. And then this is using some type. This images are great photography.
Yeah, I'm still big on, if you look at the portfolio, I'm big, like, to me it feels like a lot. Some of these things like I have a boudoir studio, for example, and I have that under one name now. It's more work and it's kind of a pain, but my boudoir and glamour stuff is under one site. My wedding and portrait stuff is under another site, and then I've got my interior and my architecture photography, which is under a third site. So, but I feel like each one is much stronger being independent. And I think events and weddings, they can go together, maybe having children and the couples I get, but like fashion and food, I don't know. Like I'm a big fan of like keeping things separate and seeing things at their best standing out on their own site. Maybe that's just maybe I'm too picky about that.
Yeah, and I mean, it really boils down to budget and branding, and I mean, there's so many more variables, and I think there's a lot that can go together. But if you're like in the Midwest and you're doing like really risque boudoir, and you're also doing seniors, then I would definitely say those are something you need to completely separate, because you could turn off potential parents if they go there and see the side of a girl's nipple or something. They'd be like, ugh, and be turned off in the Midwestern culture. So, but weddings, families, and children, I don't see needing to be divided. There are a lot here.
Yeah. And I will say this, like they've got the address, by the way, listed on almost every page. It's on the home page. Or no, on the home page it says we're based in Evanston, Illinois, but on the About page and on the Contact page is the address. So that kind of leaked out at me from what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, they're missing the name on the contact. You always have the name. So Google will actually look for that name, that NAP. So I guess let's finish this off. I'll walk you through a site. It's relatively new. I did for a local photographer here. It's niche, NICHE-photography.com, and I'll walk you through the strategy of why I selected the choices I did.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to kind of look over all of the things that you were talking about before. We're going to kind of sum up here into a site that you feel kind of is representative of the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah, so this is, if you go to, Google's Pagespeed, it's all in the green, so everything's good, fast loading. So his main focus are weddings, seniors, and portraits. It was babies, so it just changed, we'll change right now. This slideshow just has the three, they're his three favorite targeted images or categories. So it has his weddings.
Right, you're basically showing one, yeah.
Yeah, and from there, I'm trying to draw them in to click that Learn More button off the slideshow. So I'm not showing 80. I'm not showing 10, 20 images. There's only 3 in here right now. It'd actually be changed. He just changed his categories, so it'll be weddings. We'll probably put engagements in there, and then seniors, and then portraits.
How many images do you advise putting in on the main page?
I would just with load speed and over half traffic now being mobile. I've been narrowing it down. Please go back to the home page, Mike.
Okay.
So I've been narrowing it down to the main categories, but if it's not main categories, I would keep it at 5, 6 maybe, because I don't want them to sit here. I don't want them to sit here and look at my images on my home page. I want to draw them into my galleries. I want them clicking through my website.
Right.
So I do not want them to sit here and go through my slideshow on my homepage. It's Google's going to use that information to possibly hurt you. So if you start to scroll down, but still, so I got those big, huge, powerful images, full screen on the homepage, right? So they've got a good feel of the brand. If you start to scroll down, now I have some content here. One of the best St. Louis wedding photographers, specializing in wedding engagement. So I tell people, hey, this is what we do. There's a little bit of information text. I have this testimonial on the right-hand side, right? And they can click through and read a couple more, and it's got a nice little image. It personalizes it.
Oh yeah, so the testimonials are right there. They're not in like a drop down. You have them right here on the side. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen that really before, at least not much.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're drawing, there's another little image there, right? Another little image and something visual. So you're not just looking at the text on the left-hand side. There's something to look at. If it catches your eye, you can read more. Testimonials are proven to instantly give a sense of or credibility. So then if we scroll down even a little bit more,
Up to our services.
Yeah, so now here I got the main core services. Now the reason why I have these is for internal links. So internal link building is extremely important on search engines. So linking to other pages throughout your website, it's kind of like rebar and concrete. It makes the site stronger. Google follows all these links. So kind of how you have a bunch of internal links intertwined logically through your site can actually make your site stronger. And then I have a little call to action. They're not over the top. It says secure a wedding date underneath those. If you could scan that homepage. So secure a wedding date, book a senior session. I have some call to actions there. So, I can hit them there. And then go back to the homepage again.
I'm back on the our services. I don't know if it's
and then scroll down to below that. Now I have recent blog posts. This is a custom WordPress theme, so as soon as he loads a new blog post, it automatically feeds the homepage. What this is doing is keeping the site fresh, which is a freshness ranking factor. It makes this homepage, Google spiders keep on coming to it. So that's the reason why. So this site is strategically designed to draw people into other sections of the website and for search engine purposes.
And I see what you're talking about because, while I'm waiting here, because you're talking about it, I have an urge to click.
Yeah, you've already, I told you to stay on the homepage, and you've already went through 3 or 4 other pages.
Right. Yeah, I kind of want to start, and it's kind of neat. There's some animation here, but it's not, it's not slow, it's not laggy, so I like it. Very well put together.
Those are subtle branding things on that homepage, those subtle effects. What they say is, without you even noticing, that says, hey, it's modern, it's clean, it's simple, yet there's some cool effects going on that says, hey, this is a cutting edge, really up to date for studio. These design choices and everything are saying slightly the same thing subconsciously. So that's just, I wanted to walk through kind of my strategy behind this homepage. Currently,
even here, by the way, I noticed maybe subtle things a little bit more on a lot of sites, and probably mine included. I'll have to take a look. You got this little drop shadow here, so this kind of feels like a matte, like from a frame, and then you've got the photo kind of underneath there. It gives it a little bit of dimension and subtle things like that. Now, clients might not notice that. They might not say that, oh, there's like a teeny bit of a drop shadow there to give it sort of an effect, but I think that it comes together as part of an overall package. I just happened to notice it because I was like, I like this. Then I noticed the texture is not just plain white. So the site goes and stands out slightly, even though it's on white, but it's not quite as simple as the other sites that we've been seeing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it feels high-end, feels rich. Usability, so if you start to scroll down, the icon logo disappears and the navigation stays up there, which is nice for usability. That way people always have access to the menu. So if you start to scroll down, see how the menu stays there. It's using very little real estate, but it allows the user to go at any time. They don't have to scroll back up to the top of the page. I mean, there's just subtle things like that which are just nice user experiences, which will make people stay there longer and use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll probably end up clicking through the site for additional ideas for myself. So I think you got me there. And I especially like this one I like a lot, the testimonials being right here. You don't necessarily, because a lot of times it's a standalone menu item, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I think that's very cool. Plus, with it being on the home page here, it's something that gets updated. And I know that if you update your home page, that Google puts more weight there. So very cool. If folks want to go, I think I've kept you on way longer than we initially discussed. So if folks want to go and get in touch with you and either consult with you on web design or graphic design, how can they get a hold of you?
They can either give me a call. My phone number is 618-407-9231. They can visit my website, Visual Lure, which is visual like I-V-I-S-U-A-L, and then lure like a fishing lure, L-U-R-E, so visuallure.com. You can email me from there. All my contact information is there. So just price-wise, I'm on the middle to upper scale cost-wise, because everything we do is done right. We don't take any shortcuts in development. Our code is clean. So our websites, fully custom, search engine optimized WordPress websites start out like $4,500. We require half down, balance is due when it's done, or we've done it in installments if people need to. And then our logos, we do logo and branding packages. Our logos, we get internationally published in books like Logo Lounge every year. We have a handful of logos in there. So, if you're shopping around, you can find a logo designer for $300, or if you go to a design studio, it can be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Ours are $800. Same thing, require half down, balance is due when it's done. And then, there's all kinds of add-on services if it's something you're interested in, but that's kind of the ballpark pricing of ours. Or feel free that I always give tips and stuff at Google Plus for search engine stuff, so you can find all my social media. If you found myself helpful today, you can do me a favor and just go to Facebook and like my page. That's linked, Visual Lure. You can link that. It's all linked from my site. So that's the only thing I ask. If that's the only thing I ask for my time today. If you found it helpful, just go like my page, and you'll be able to watch and see, or you can follow my blog too. I'm in the process of redesigning my site, so all my new blog posts are on there. But once it's done, I stay up to date on that, and I do a lot of high-end photography branding. So you guys might want to see that. And then I also speak at, I write for Shutter Magazine quarterly, and then I'll speak at Shutterfest this year, and that's all done through BehindTheShutter.com. So
very cool. Well, you've given us, I think, way more info than I actually thought. I thought we would just do like minute or two per website. We ended up spending a little bit more time than I thought. So definitely good stuff. I appreciate your time. If you're looking for a new site or logo design, feel free to ping Justen. I'll have his contact info also posted with this video and with the podcast in the info section, as well as on our Chicago Photographic Society page. So, Justen, thank you so much for your time. I know that you're busy and you have many things to do and that we went over. So thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to see if I can make my way down to Shutterfest this year. It'd be nice to meet you. I've read enough about you, and I've read your articles a number of times, so it'd be good to finally meet you.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
All right. Take care.